Increasingly, mobile forensics isn't just about devices. As the field diversifies to include cloud storage, encryption, and the Internet of Things, digital forensics evolution is only as good as the tools that can keep up. Today on the Forensic Focus podcast, we're joined by Lee Reiber, Chief Operating Officer at Oxygen Forensics, here to talk with us about many of those changes and more. I'm your host, Krista Miller, and welcome, Lee.
Hello, good to see you again,
Likewise,
as always.
Likewise.
Yes, yeah.
So it's been a few years since we last interviewed you, and even a year since you and I talked on your podcast. Tell us what's changed for you since you came on board as COO, and what are you proudest of in particular?
Yeah, no, it's been crazy. Time flies, I guess, when you're having fun. I've been doing it for a while on the mobile forensic side of it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then also into kind of computer forensics. But honestly, I mean, the growth that we have had in just 6 years, 6 years that I've been with Oxygen has been tremendous. And I think what I'm really most proud of right now is we've become such a kind of more, I wanted to make it family type, as a team, right? So we all fail, we fail, we succeed, everything together. And so, growing from just a few people to, expanding our office to about 10,000 square feet in Alexandria, from, just a little closet, just to make sure that one, we have the room, we have the people, and continue to make them happy, because obviously happy employees, especially during, a lot of the things that have been going on for the last couple of years, is a good thing, right? Helps them keep productive, allow them. And I think the growth at Oxygen has come from allowing people to grow themselves, not telling them what to do, but helping them to build the company, as again, a family, I think.
So give us some examples of how you're doing that, because I think that's something that a lot of the listeners could really learn from, in terms of not just like as if they're managers, how to help their employees out, and then also as employees, what to look for if they're looking for work.
Yeah. And I think the important part, again, is making sure that someone feels as if they're contributing. Giving them the ability to come up with ideas, whether it's their second day, their first day, and I try to, when I explain to people that are coming in or what I'm looking for in an employee, it's really someone who can think for themselves, come up with, some great ideas. And then on the management side, making sure that manager understands that they're not the chief. They're not this is what you need to do. It's more a collective thought process. Because I think when you allow people to feel as if they're a part of the process, they should be, right? And so in doing that, I want to make sure that I have those managers and those employees that want to do that, wants to grow, want to see all of a sudden, hey, wow, this idea that I came up with is, now I see it out in the world, right? Or, hey, here's this, an employee or even our support guys say, hey, you know what? We get a lot of people with these requests. I really think that this would be really cool to have within the application. And then all of a sudden it comes out. It's not just, the funnel where they're just doing their day-to-day job, but they're actually innovating for the company, whether they be in marketing, support, or, on with the management team.
So yeah, I noticed that that was reading through Oxygen's 6-month checkup post a few months ago. That was something that stuck out as just the amount that was listed in there. Do you think that it's fair to say that that's all of that is the result of giving people that latitude?
Yeah, I think so. And really, that the things change so often, whether it be on the computer side, the mobile side, the cloud side, kind of keeping up with the Joneses. But I do think that really we take a lot of the even what our customers are looking for, what we see, and really trying to focus on how we always, making the world a safer place by giving people tools that they can go in and immediately see the results of that. So we put out no less than 12 major releases, another 12 minor releases. We're talking in the 20s.
Yeah.
Our training department does not like that, just because they have to keep up with materials. But it really has to do with providing that service to our customers, and giving them. And I'm super proud about that, because examples that we have had of a customer who says, man, I have this case. This case involves X, Y, and Z. There's really nothing, other than I go in and I have to dive in and manually grab a hold of this. Can you help me solve this, this problem? And I need it. And we've turned things around in 2 days and given them a build that allows them to do their job, and obviously solve those types of crimes.
Wow. Yeah. So in that time, really within the last few years, and then even this year, in the time frame of that 6-month checkup post, what is the biggest change that you've seen in the industry? And concurrently, what do you regard as the company's biggest accomplishment this year?
Yeah, and I really think that, I use the full ecosystem, because we would have, I think that the issue that it's really, I've seen it throughout my career, is really kind of the modular approach, where say I'm an investigator and I'm doing forensics, or I go to a scene and I have, say, a mobile device, and I have, say, a computer, or I have to do with cloud service. Them being there and going, oh crap, I'm not able to support that, because I have to go back either to the lab or I have to go and get it. I don't have that ability. So really what I wanted to do is to really focus on the full ecosystem, so that someone would be on scene. They're able to go in and process and extract a mobile device, be able to go into to a computer, extract the computer artifacts from that, be able to then take that information, extract information from the cloud service, all within the application, and really trying to bring that and the ability to not to stay and just silo things and say, yeah, well, so no, you have to go in and you have to have that. I want to have everything and all the tools available to someone when they're there and they need it, instead of saying, oh, you know what, I'm only going to be able to use this part of the puzzle. I can't get that whole collective view of the information.
So would you say that that's one of the biggest challenges for customers right now, is just that being able to get what they're looking for when they need it?
Well, I think that's not necessarily the customer. I mean, the whole, if you look at the digital landscape, the information that might be on a cloud service versus on a mobile device versus, say, on a computer, it might be some of the same data, the way that everything talks to each other, but you have different, there's a lot of different artifacts from same applications that you might have on a cloud service, on the mobile device, the same one, right? And so being able to get that entire picture, that to me is one of our biggest innovations, because now they're able to go in and even merge all that information together, find the differences within, say, that cloud backup versus that may be on a mobile device or on a computer. And it kind of has always been a challenge, because it was okay, well, I have to wait till the computer till I get some of those artifacts back from the investigator who's doing those, and now I have to go and wait for someone who's doing the the mobile devices, and then I have to put them together, and so now I think coming down to the time aspect of that, being able to have that actionable intelligence is key.
That's a challenge though too. I mean, you're mentioning cloud-based data. I mean, a lot of cloud-based data is located in other countries at this point, and so like it seems like there's that tension between getting the information when they need it versus kind of those broader legal challenges. Like how does Oxygen in particular and tool vendors sort of counsel their customers on how to use their tools within those restrictions, really?
Yeah. Use your powers for good, right?
Yeah.
So that's very, very important to understand. And we talk about that within our training, and helping understand, because that's always, and it's always the gray area. But what's interesting, I've been talking about it for years, is that especially law enforcement, right? Obtaining a search warrant for a mobile device, right? Okay, that's fantastic. I understand that. but also, why aren't we explaining or educating the prosecutors, the judges, that
Right.
information is transactional,
Yeah.
right? That the data that's on this mobile device is always stored somewhere on another computer. It could be stored in multiple places, right? Microsoft, you could have it in Singapore, you could have it in Seattle, and that's your data is in different areas. And so, I think it comes down to the education wise of really who owns that data.
Yeah. Yeah.
And every terms and conditions, if you look at every application, it specifically states the data is owned by the user. So if they own that data, even if it's on a cloud service, if they have that information, they have the mobile device, why aren't we trying to obtain the legal document, the search warrant, when the mobile device, as well as that transactional data in the cloud simultaneously? So I think it really is an education. Well, it comes down to no one wants to be that person that is listed within case law, bad case law,
Right.
And so that I think it really comes down to that. But it all is about educating those people who are making the decisions, right? The prosecutor is going to explain that to the judge who has to understand the jurisdictional issues that you have, right? You're not going to say, hey, I'm going to send this, and I have to send this memorandum of understanding. I'm going to try to get all this anything with someone in Latvia. Yeah, you're never going to hear from them. So, understanding that information and how it is active to that mobile device that you might have or that you might not have. It's just part of the data and really who owns it.
Yeah, it's I've been talking on a different project to some prosecutors who reflect it's really about the relationships that they have, because they really do rely on their forensic examiners as their expert witnesses to help them understand, but in turn they also need to be able to understand, to guide the digital forensics examiners and the investigators on what they need to be doing, again, within the confines of law that really isn't catching up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100% agree. And again, it's as part of our training courses, because we do talk about cloud, and cloud is how important that is to an investigation. So again, you have to understand, what are the legal grounds? How do we go about that? And again, it all comes down to helping to educate not just the examiner who's in the class, but really to go in and bring in prosecutors or judges.
So I'm going to jump over. There's kind of on that note of technology that's rapidly advancing past whatever the law kind of covers, or adapting the law to fit. So Oxygen Forensics introduced Ring doorbell data acquisition this year. I wanted to hear from you more about IoT, Internet of Things, a topic you've covered certainly extensively at conferences. Data volumes and backlogs are already massive. So how will or won't IoT add to this? And how do tools like Oxygen Forensic Detective help them manage?
Yeah, it already has obviously added to not just the backlog of data, right? But I think is the investigation. If people start thinking, and just a side story. So when we started supporting Ring, it was great. I'm like, hey, yeah. So I think it's really important that we do this. And the developer said, hey, we already have a kind of a roadmap. I say, fantastic. So to get the data, we have one at the office that's at our door.
Oh,
and
cool.
So it's funny. If you look at some of our marketing materials, you actually see some of our employees, that are just like walking in on that. So it's good data to have. But to go to kind of the IoT and that information, Alexa or Amazon just now has that robot, and it's kind of freaky because obviously it's a camera that just rolls around your house. You can turn on the mic, do anything else. But everyone knows that, say, Google Homes or even Alexa, and all of those are always actively listening, right? I mean, they are always on because they're waiting to hear the wake word. And so if they're always on, it's an open mic. That, I mean, the issue, I think the bigger issue than the forensic side of it is actually the infiltration into your home networks, into, if you remember back in the day, well, everybody still covers their webcam. You see people that have that because of the access that we have. But on a forensic side of it, it's extremely important to understand, right? If I'm going to go in and, say, for law enforcement side of it, if I'm going to go into a house and I'm looking for things that might help me solve the crime, the first thing I'm going to look at is cameras. Were the cameras, did they have a Ring doorbell? Did they have a Ring spotlight? Did any of these Arlo, did they have these cameras set up? Because if they have them, I mean, that's fantastic. That's great information. Did they have Alexas? Did they have all of this information? Were they wearing a watch? Did they, because the wearables, everything that's there, even if you don't have a mobile device, even if you don't have, the video camera running, you have all of these other pieces of the pie. And that's what I was talking about, a collective examination. Because if you take, say, if you have a mobile device and you have a wearable and you have this Ring camera, you can place that person, even if you're not able to see them, you can place them outside. You might see a shadow, but the wearable or their mobile device, their location information puts them there, so I think, does it increase the workload? Yes, it increases the workload if you want to do it correctly. I'm always on kind of the soapbox of, you have to do it correctly. You don't just, here you go, push it and it's down and here's all the data, because there's a lot of information that people don't utilize because it might be too much work. So at Oxygen, what we really try to do is we allow to bring all this information in, whether it be IoT devices, whether it be cloud services, mobile devices, computers. You can bring all of this inside of it. And what we do is, utilizing timelines, utilizing social graph, which now shows those common contacts between all multiple devices, location information. You can bury it down to when the time occurred or when multiple times, let's say the events occurred, so that you can really take all of, terabytes of data, take it down to megabytes of data that you're now looking at, because that's really what you're pinpointing in to. So, we understand that there's so many devices out there that contain so much information and it becomes overwhelming. Yeah. But what we want to do with our tools is really allow the investigator to pinpoint that time that they're looking at by utilizing all of the filters that we include within our software.
Yeah, I guess that's what I was wondering, because I know that the concept of proportionality is a little more of a thing, I think, in the UK and EU justice systems than it is in the US. I think in the US it's a little more focused on e-discovery, and I wondered if those lessons learned from those other jurisdictions, it kind of made its way into the Oxygen product to the extent that it was helping investigators that may not be as focused on proportionality as a matter of course.
Yeah, we really do. I mean, we take that and we allow it to really come down to, because, understanding is still too in law enforcement side of scope, right? What's a scope? Is the scope of the warrant? Yeah. I'm not able to do this, say HIPAA, you have all these different items, and we take that into consideration, not just the amount of data, but obviously the data that you're able to look at. So to be able to take and really filter that information. And we can even go in and filter out that and export that data, so that whoever's going to be viewing that information has only access to what you've given to them. So again, that's important as well. Yeah.
So I wanted to ask also specifically about another feature that I know that Oxygen Forensic Detective has, which is facial recognition. I know that that's controversial on a number of levels for law enforcement. What is the feedback that you're getting from your users about this feature and their needs for it?
Yeah, no, it's really good. And so, I refer to it really as categorization, because we have image categorization and we have facial categorization. And what it really allows you to do is, again, whittle down all that information, right? I'm able to go in, and if there's an investigation is usually looking for someone who has done something, right? And so that someone, if you're able to take that someone and you have an image of that someone, you're able to now categorize that and find all of the images that this someone is involved in. So that, again, it takes down that time, instead of just going through and looking and trying to, okay, I think that's mine. We're not here. The reason why I don't use recognition a lot is because you have to go to classes, to really to say, yes, that is this person. Here's the eyes, you have all that. What we like to do and what we use, or what that tool is utilized for, again, is to whittle down that investigation, to identify the images, and then also say, wow, this guy or the person that we're doing the investigation in, wow, I didn't know that they knew this person. They're in that picture together. So now you can go in and further your investigation. Again, it's just an investigative tool that allows you to go in and continue or even follow up on additional information. And so it's not so much as and this is how I explain. People say, whoa, you have to step back. Well, okay, so do you have an Android? Yeah, I have an Android. Okay. Do you use Google Photos? Oh yeah, I use Google Photos. Isn't that fun how it kind of puts all of your contacts together and has all the pictures in it? Yeah. Or do you have Facebook? Oh yeah, boy, it identifies all these people. So if you're, and that's not even for investigative purposes, that's just, hey, ease of use, and people are fine with that. But if law enforcement or this is within a tool, people are like, well, I don't, what, you're using this to identify people, and you're going to identify the wrong person. No, you have to go, and there's a lot of classes that people have to go to if they're going to go in and take. I have thousands of pictures, and here I'm going to upload this picture, and you tell me who this is.
Yeah.
That's not what our software is really. Right. It's a collective analysis and to categorize those images.
So it's creating the lead. It's not leading to the charge necessarily.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And I think that again, bad cases, at least a bad case law, where the one that really kind of obviously blew it up is like, hey, I uploaded this into this huge database, and this is the person, and then they just go and arrest this person based upon that information. And obviously that's not going to be how our tools are.
So we're coming to the close of the end of the year here. What should we expect from Oxygen Forensics coming in 2022? Just kind of following on all of these different accomplishments and new features.
Yeah. So right now we have a huge promotion going on there, but we have slated at least another two major releases of Oxygen Forensic Detective with some fantastic iOS. With support for iOS. Obviously they keep changing and bringing things out, and a lot of people are scared about 15. No need. But working on that, really trying to up our game on computer artifacts. I don't like to call what we do computer forensics. There's a lot, there's great companies, that do computer forensics, but we do targeted extractions with our Key Scout that allows us to enter in the information that we're looking for, whether it's a third-party app, Telegram, Skype, any type of communication that you might have on there, as well as passwords, anything that we can get off the computer, again, to make sure that we do a collective analysis. And we were really, really ramping, and we had some crazy release just in 14.0, 14.1 is going to have even more with the computer artifacts, as well as bringing in a lot of our password attacks. So we're taking the passwords, we're able to get into a lot of locked containers on a mobile device, even on computer storage, as well as bringing in a lot of bypasses for, say, Android devices. So still, there's, every time we put these things out, again, training is upset because there's so much they have to change, but I'm amazed at the hard work, especially our dev team puts into putting out the product. And come at the beginning of the year as a teaser, there's some crazy things that we're bringing. So it's super excited.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing more about that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Lee, thank you again for joining us on the Forensic Focus podcast.
No, it's my pleasure, as always.
All right. Thanks also to our listeners. You'll be able to find this recording and transcription along with more articles, information, and forums at www.forensicfocus.com. If there are topics you'd like us to cover or you'd like to suggest someone for us to interview, please let us know.